This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy at blast. All rise. Here comes the judge. Swung on! Hit high! Hit deep to right! Away back into the second deck!
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club!
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live, as the Athletics will be playing. Who are we playing today?
The Texas Rangers.
The Rangers. Well, a battle of the AL West.
Something like that in the middle of March. Beginning of March.
I got to tell you, we have an unbelievable show for you today. We have a major announcement coming up. We'll be breaking news in moments. We have two guests, Ryan Spilborghs he does the Apple TV games. He is the host of Loud Outs on Sirius XM and also does television for the Colorado Rockies. He's one of the, in our game, I would say becoming a big deal, becoming kind of a former player turned broadcaster star in our game. He's a great example of where this game is going as these Apple TV games continue to grow. And a lot to get into with him, because after that, I just want to tell you at 11:40, we got Jared Diamond from the Wall Street Journal, an article that he did about where baseball is going, the ESPN divorce. It's fascinating. It's the business of baseball. It's the business of all sports, where sports is going, because let's just face it, we as human beings are changing, and the world is changing around us faster than ever before. And how we consume things and how it's delivered to us is obviously changing. You know it because you live it every day. So these sports leagues better adapt. You know, if I go back to Brad Pitt, Moneyball, adapt or die. And some leagues have been better than others. I will give credit to the NBA. The NBA was brilliant. They secured basically broadcasting streaming rights, and they got like $77 billion for it. Like, that is where we are going. And if you're trying to hold on to the old model of cable television, you're going to get left behind. But then you're going to have to get the certain teams in our game who do have the still big cable contracts. And we have a great one with NBC, along with the San Francisco Giants in the Bay Area. But when you really look at the Dodgers and you look at the Yankees and you look at the Mets and you look at the Phillies, there's a handful of teams that they're not going to want to give that up. But what's best for the sport? What's best for the sport is the NFL model. Now, the NFL model, meaning that all 30 teams hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and they go get what's best for the league. As we always said, the shield. Baseball has always been, I'm going to do my deal. And the rest of you guys, good luck. 30 teams acting independent of each other. Well, the commissioner, before he gets out of here, wants to change that. And he wants to be 30 teams all acting together. And the big boys might say, yeah, but why would I do that? Why am I going to give up my advantage and my deal? My deal's great. So there's a lot in this Wall Street Journal article that Jared Diamond did, and he's going to be here at 11:30. So two guests, phenomenal. A lot to talk about today in baseball. We're also going to play some of our spring training interviews. We'll have one of our TV broadcasters. He's also going to be joining us on the radio streaming side this year. Uber talented Chris Caray was going to be here. And then a guy that I absolutely love, and I don't think we talk enough about, and if you want to like get in line for extending guys in a contract, I actually had this conversation with him this past offseason. Like, would you be interested? I think you remember that in the dugout. Yep. He said he would. I mean, everything is always like it's got to work for both parties. But if you got a guy that can give you 20 home runs and hit you 40 doubles and play center field every day, that's special. That's a special talent. JJ Bleday is a special talent. We have talked about it ever since he was traded over for AJ Puck. You're basically flipping a top draft pick for a top draft pick. I don't even know why the Marlins would do this. The Marlins, who have continued to struggle with offense and finding offense, would draft JJ Bleday, number 4 overall, and flip him for AJ Puck, who's never been healthy, who they brought in, and he didn't stay healthy, and now he's a Diamondback. I have no idea. No idea. But I remember the day of that trade going, I have no idea who JJ Bleday is, but I know exactly who AJ Puck is. And I'll gladly flip an everyday player for a guy that's supposed to be a starter, turn reliever, can't stay healthy, and you have no idea what his future is. I told you, I said, AJ Puck in his career, long-term, and I was happy for him to stay healthy. I think that was a big thing for him. And to have a career. But I said AJ Puck will end up being a guy who plays for a ton of teams. How many teams has he played for since I made that comment?
2. He's now a Diamondback.
That's 3 teams he's played for already. He's going to play for a lot of teams. He's left-handed. But anyway, you're getting a guy, whether it worked out or not, you're getting a primetime talent. And that primetime talent has finally blossomed right in front of our eyes. JJ Bleday will be here at 11:40. So we're going to do Ryan Spilborghs, Spilly at 10:30, Chris Caray at 11, Jared Diamond at 11:30, and then JJ Bleday at 11:40. I'm telling you, I'm juiced today, not just because I just had my big cup of coffee, but we just had a little Zoom meeting and talking about our Vegas weekend. We have a full weekend plan for us, A's Cast, in Las Vegas. If you don't know, it's Big League weekend. We will be playing speaking of the Diamondbacks and AJ Puck, we'll be playing our good friend Torey Lovello. If you don't know and you're new to us, because we had a lot of people listening on Talk 650 KSTE in Sacramento, Torey Lovello, the manager of the Snakes, is a former A and a good friend of this program. I don't know if we're going to be able to have him on because we're going to be doing everything's going to be about Las Vegas, but it's going to be cool. Very excited. And there's announcements to be made. There's breaking news that's going to be made. We are going to cover it for 3 straight days. We are going to be in Vegas. It's going to be awesome. The change, the future, the path to the future. The path to the future is going to be really explained. I am super excited about what we're going to be doing in Las Vegas, as it's going to be a change for this organization. It's about the future of the organization, and it's a change in our lives for us personally of where we are going. For the first time in a long time, I, as the host of this show, feel like I can play offense because I've been playing defense for a long, long time, and I got tired of it. I'm an offensive player. I'm a scorer. For you NBA people, we're in Sacramento, the Kings, I'm like the 6th man who comes off the bench. I shoot threes. I don't play defense.
So you're Bobby Jackson. Well, he played defense, though.
What was my guy who played for the Clippers?
Oh, Lou Williams.
No.
He's one of the
Who was
best.
one of the great 6 men of all time? Played for the Clippers.
Jamal Crawford.
Jamal Crawford. If I could ever be an NBA player, that's who I would be. I'm not playing defense. You bring me in because I'm filling it up. So for the first time in a long time, it's exciting to bring our content to Sacramento. I'm doing a business I can't wait to announce the business deal that I'm doing here in Sacramento. And I'm excited about the capital city. We've joked that my new nickname is Capital City Chris. And then I'm excited about all the stuff that we're going to be announcing about where we're going forward with Vegas, with Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of our country. And to be that we're going to be in Vegas and what we're going to be able to do. And like I've said before to people inside our organization, you can't be big enough. You can't be bold enough. You can't have enough lights. You can't have enough cameras. You can't have enough celebrities. You can never do enough when you're in Las Vegas. And that excites me. There's no limits to what we're going to be able to do. And that is awesome. And we're going to talk a lot about that this weekend. Speaking of Las Vegas, we have a major announcement right now that we've been waiting for this. We knew it was going to happen, and it has finally happened. So we are honored to take our product, A's Cast, and this show, A's Cast Live, just to give you an idea. So the pregame show before our games will be on here when we're talking about terrestrial radio on 650 KSTE. So will our post-game show, and of course the game. Will be simulcasted all over Northern California from a television standpoint on our longtime television partner, NBC Sports California. So that does not change. For a lot of people, like, okay, what's going to happen? No, really nothing's changed. A's Cast stays the same. This talk show, A's Cast Live, stays the same. How you watch our games, NBC Sports California, nothing changes. Pre, game, post, everything stays the same. The only difference with the pre and the post is that we are officially, I've hosted it for years. I wasn't the main person doing it because of my responsibilities here, but now we're blending it all, and now we will be hosting every pre and post. It's going to be called A's Cast on NBC. So we have our station in Sacramento intact, phenomenal. But now we are officially in Las Vegas. Breaking news, Cody, go.
The A's named 95.5 KWNR FM The Bull HD2 as the official network affiliate in Las Vegas. The A's announced today the fans in Las Vegas can now listen to all regular season spring training and any potential postseason games on the HD2 channel of iHeart's 95.5 KWNR FM The Bull. So you get to hear Johnny, you get to hear Ken, Chris Caray, all of our, as Chris mentioned, all of our A's Cast coverage, pre and post game, and all all content leading in will be on our new affiliate in Las Vegas, 95.5 KWNR FM The Bull HD2.
So it just continues to grow how we can deliver our product. And now delivering our product, which is so cool, we're in multiple states.
Yeah.
Now, A's Cast, anybody can listen to A's Cast. I mean, as we have our listeners in Australia, and we have people who listen all over the world, all over the country, listen to A's Cast. Or you can watch A's Cast, obviously, here on YouTube or on Twitter. But to have a station, you know, it's not odd. I mean, if you're like the St. Louis Cardinals, you have this massive network of stations all over, but we're not used to that, right? We're used to being in California, Northern California, and having a station in Hawaii. But now having multiple stations in the iHeart family in multiple states is really cool. And which means, get ready, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in, obviously we'll be at every home game in Sacramento, but we're going to start doing a lot of stuff in Las Vegas too. We're going to be very, very busy in the next 3 years promoting what we got boots on the ground and then promoting what we have in the future. And the future is going to be very bright. And I can't tell you, what this is going to mean for us, what it's going to mean for our careers, but also, just what it means for everybody in the organization. Everybody has worked so hard to make this happen. So big deal today, announcing a station in Las Vegas. So we are everywhere. You name it, we've got a spot there. And then I'm sure as we roll on, we'll start adding more stations throughout Las Vegas, because I can tell you, I've seen with the Raiders, Raiders are everywhere, right? You go into Reno and Raiders just have billboards everywhere. And that's what we'll be. I mean, you take over the state. You're going to take over, the A's will take over the state of Nevada.
One more thing about Las Vegas. This came out yesterday after we were on the air, but we put this press release out. Secure your spot at the A's ballpark in Las Vegas. Starting Friday, March 7th, A's fans will have the opportunity to secure priority access to purchase season tickets at the team's ballpark in Las Vegas for just $19.01. The priority list will go live at 9 a.m. Pacific time on March 7th at athletics.com/Vegas. The significance of the 1901 is obviously the founding year of our franchise, the Athletics franchise in 1901. So Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, athletics.com/Vegas if you want to secure your spot at the A's ballpark in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm being told we're going to get the opportunity to talk to the people who are making this building happen. And the excitement of what we're going to be able to see and what we're going to be able to talk about. I mean, just look in Sacramento alone, what the arena has meant to Sacramento. It's changed a lot of things. And when you build something very, very special and what it does for a city, what it does for a franchise, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, you know about what we've seen with Levi Stadium down where we live. You've said, I mean, I can just tell you originally the Shark Tank. Shark Tank's now old.
It's one of the oldest arenas in hockey.
Right? It's now old, but you know, when I came to San Jose State years ago, I got here when they were just building the arena. The Sharks were playing at the Cow Palace. And what that arena has meant to the city of San Jose, and I know talking to people in Sacramento, obviously Arco Arena in Natomas had a lot of events. People, it's just not Kings games. It's all the different events. I actually worked. I did, it was the NCAA tournament. I covered part of the tournament. I can't remember what round it was it was Arco then. Then it became what? Sleep Train?
Sleep Train, yeah.
So I can just tell you all the events, all the concerts I have seen, Disney on Ice, you name it, that I've seen at the Shark Tank. What these buildings mean for communities and bringing people together. And now the arena in Sacramento, Golden One, that everybody has. I haven't been there yet. Have you figured out how I'm going to light the beam?
Sorry, I haven't moved it up the list of things I need to get in order in my life, but I will escalate it as I, notch off some things that I have on my list.
I can't wait because they're going to be like, hey, you got to come to a Kings game. You got to, and I'm going to be like, great. Am I lighting the beam?
We were just on a call with some of the heavy hitters in the organization. We should have asked them to talk to their Kings people to ask them. I could ask the great Mark Ling and ask him. He knows people everywhere. Our director of public relations. I mean, he could get in touch with anyone with the Kings. I'm texting with him right now about the Aviators and what we want to do this weekend. So,
well, can you stop texting and concentrate on the show?
Doing I wear multiple hats.
No, you got to focus on you got to focus on the show. Focus on the show. We'll get to them later. But yeah, I mean, what we're going to do with this weekend in Vegas and learning, we are learning a lot, right? We'll all be learning together what is happening and the future. And it's, once again, it's great to play offense and not have to play defense. And this is the way, this is where we're going, and nothing's changing it. As the great Dick Callahan, I know I have something here of Dick Callahan.
Right there.
Right here. Dick Callahan, our longtime public address announcer, who is a very dear friend, more than just a guy that, more than a guy that just I saw at the ballpark every day. He was a very dear friend. He helped me in a lot of ways. He helped me with some business deals. I confided in him all the time, in his wisdom, because he was not only did he have that legendary voice at the Coliseum and also when he did the Warriors and St. Mary's and Cal, but he was a brilliant businessman, very, very successful. And I always bring it up. Your windshield is bigger than your rear view mirror in your car. Why? Because where you're going is more important than where you're coming from. It's always about moving forward. It's always about the future. It's always about growing. And Dick would hammer that into me because I am somebody that will hold on to things in that rear view mirror. And that's something that as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better of letting that go, and I'm moving forward. It's hard to do, but that's what we're doing. And that's, kind of like that's kind of like the wonderful thing about what this offseason has been and this season going forward is that we have a story. and we have a story to tell, and we are moving forward in our lives, and we're not hanging back. There's going to be people that are hanging back, and I get it. I'm not going to judge you. You don't judge me. We had a choice. We made that choice, and we're going forward. And now everything that we're going to be doing, like the announcement of this new station in Las Vegas.
95.5 The Bull, HC2.
To go along with the station in Sacramento. And the fact that everybody is going to be carrying everything that we do to go along with everything that we produce for you here on A's Cast. And now everybody's learning about A's Cast and A's Cast Live. It's the business. And I know some people just want to hear about baseball, which, by the way, from just a baseball standpoint, let me get Johnny D's note. I have Johnny Doskow. So Johnny does all.
Cal Ripken of the broadcast. Don't sell him short.
Johnny does basically all the broadcasts during spring training, right? He'll be doing all the games with Ken Korak. But I said, Johnny, give us a notebook every day because we're not there. We don't get to see our games. So Monday's game, Camelback, Mitch Spence looked his best. Great command. The spin doctor, of course, what he spins everything, so it means everything's going away from right-handed hitters and into lefties. He has to figure out ways to now go back inside and to keep right-handers honest and make left-handers think about the outer part of the plate. Like, it's great that you can master one thing. But problem is these are the best hitters in the world, and if they know you do one thing, they're going to figure it out. As my old broadcast partner with the Raiders, Bill Romanowski, would say, Towny, guess what? The other guys get paid too. And that's true. The other guys get paid too, and they get paid a lot of money. They got big houses and fancy cars too. So you better have a lot of wrinkles. You better be Batman and have that tool belt, because if you just keep throwing the same thing, it doesn't matter how hard you throw. You can get up there and throw 105 miles an hour. At some point, they're going to time it. So that is good news. Fun to see Jacob Wilson, the contact master, hit a 2-run home run in the first inning. That is a big point because now he's starting to hit. Jacob Wilson could be that guy. When we joked yesterday about we're going to do our fantasy baseball draft, and I'm going to go against all of you people. I'm going to be Old Man River, get off my lawn, and I just want guys who hit for average, and I want guys who just give you innings and don't throw 100 miles an hour. We'll see how that works. And you know what's going to be funny? I'm going to beat people. I will not be last place. I may not be first place. Actually, I figured out my first pick.
Well, when you said you want guys at 300, there's not many that did it last year, or guys that hit for average. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have.
You might have a better chance of getting the guys that eat some innings.
I might have to lower my standards. You got to hit 280 or higher. I got to maybe lower my standards.
I have to look up see how many guys did that last year. I don't think it was that.
Well, and I got to find positions too.
Yeah,
I will draft Lawrence Butler first.
Everyone really likes him this year. I mean, we do too. But he's a guy that, he had the breakout year last year. People think he's going to build on it, and I think he can too. He'd be great because he'll give you a decent average: home runs, steals, runs scored, a good OPS.
Jacob Wilson, though, has got to be my shortstop. Because you know what? If he really turns out to be what we think he can be, he's that guy that in a world of where we're still preaching, hey, we preach walk, home run as much as anybody, right? So I can't come out here. I'm not criticizing any other team because that's what we do. We love walks. We love home runs. But Jacob Wilson, if he can be that guy that when we have gotten a player who can put the ball in play a lot, boy, he really stands out. And so to see him hit a 2-run shot, just to see Jacob Wilson hit, because what did he hit? He had 208 at-bats last year, 3 different levels of the minor league system, and he hit 433. 433, man. That is crazy.
While you're looking it up, I did it for you. There were 26 different guys that hit 280 or above. So you got 26 guys to choose from.
That's it?
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough draft for me. All right. Also from Johnny's notebook, Nick Kurtz showing off his great eye. Now, it's the one thing, and he got a hit. He's not long for the minor leagues, folks. He's the number 4 pick out of Wake Forest for the A's. Some people say he could be the best guy in the draft. So I think Tyler Soderstrom, it's how his start works. Also, maybe one of the reasons why he's back playing a little catcher. Nick Kurtz is coming. That's just a reality. Get to know that name. He's big. He's smart. He can swing it. He can pick it. He's like he has the potential of being a much better Matt Olson. God, it's tough to say, but it's a reality. Now, you have to prove it and you have to do it. Because Matt Olson, let's face it, is a big swing and miss guy. And when he was on fire, Matt Olson's incredible. When he's not, he's flat out an easy out. That was kind of the problem with our 2018, 19, and 20 teams, is you had a bunch of guys who were like that. When they were streaky and they were going good, they were hell on wheels. When they weren't, they were easy outs, right? Kind of getting away from that. Nick Kurtz gets away from that model. And then no cup holders on most of the seats at Camelback Ranch. That is not right. Johnny, that's spot on.
See, that's what you
How do you not have cup holders in your seats? It's 2025.
That's hard-hitting analysis. You get the baseball, then you get what his gripe is with the ballpark.
All right. If you're going to do a deal for billions and billions of dollars, do you really want ex-players and lawyers negotiating? I'm throwing it out there. If this was make or break for your business career, and you're putting people together in a room to hammer out deals that are worth billions of dollars, do you really want ex-players and lawyers being the ones who hammer the deal out? I know my answer. We'll find out my answer. Ryan Spilly from SiriusXM, the Colorado Rockies, and Apple TV will join us next right here on A's Cast Live.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
New A's starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs outlines the similarities between the young A's and his old team in Tampa Bay.
A lot of similarities in a lot of the ways, in the sense of like young guys, a lot of talented, young players that are establishing themselves or have, established themselves in the last year or two, and really finding, their way, their path, and kind of, making the adjustments. So it's exciting, watching, the guys throw, the guys hit, and then, like you said, competing against them the last couple of years. The talent, it's exciting. When you kind of have younger guys that are hungry and eager to play, those can be dangerous teams. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. Athletics DH Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live during his extension press conference to discuss becoming the face of the franchise.
It's been a wild ride. It's
Crazy.
Yeah, it's happened quick. In a sense, it feels like for me, in a sense, it's kind of taken a long time, obviously, because it took a little bit later into my career for things like this to start to develop. But it's been crazy. It's been fun. I owe a ton to this organization, the people in, for giving me the opportunity that I was looking for a while, and I'm grateful I was able to take advantage of it and get to this point.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
AceCast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, we told you what Ryan's been doing, and you just think about his career. Sirius XM, the show Loud Outs with CJ Nikowski is absolutely fantastic, where you have the player's perspective of what's going on with our game. To our listeners, you'll probably see him when you're watching the MLB package doing Colorado Rockies games, and then also the future of where baseball is going. I don't know all the platforms and what they're going to be, but this is kind of paving the way on Apple TV, what they do. Spilly, it's great to have you back on the program. How are you?
I did good, Towny. How are you, man?
We're good, and I know, we've been talking a lot on this program about a culture change, and you're around the Colorado Rockies when you're around, and when an organization is making the changes that we're making, and all of a sudden there's the Luis Severino, when we got to Dallas for the winter meetings, that was the biggest deal so far. Juan Soto hadn't happened yet. Then all of a sudden it's the commitment to Brent Rooker, and Brent Rooker making the commitment to the organization. And then when we show up to spring training, you have the commitment to Mark Kotsay, which is unbelievable that he has the longest contract as a manager now in baseball. You just went to our camp. So we've talked about the culture, the change in our culture. What did you see when you went to our camp?
Yeah, it's real. It's not fake. I think there's sometimes you get lip service, like guys just, it's baseball speak, it's cliches. But I mean, I had a real sense from the group that they cared about each other, that there was some confidence. You have some young, interesting players that I'd like to see take a step forward, not just, getting the face of the franchise now, and Brent Rooker signed up long-term. It's trying to figure out if Butler really is the real deal. 2 months of it is not good enough for me. I'd like to see what it looks like over the first, a full season. JJ Bleday has a chance to be a 20 homer, 30, stolen base guy. There's a lot. If you haven't seen Jeffrey Springs pitch yet, I mean, this is somebody with like a plus changeup that you get for the Tampa Bay Rays. So there's a little bit more confidence. Mason Miller told me he has a new pitch, so that's 3, which is just stupid because I can't imagine being a hitter. If he throws a first pitch changeup and you spin yourself into the dirt, and then he goes fastball, like it's just not fair. So there's pieces here where you can look around and you say, all right, like I see it. I could see it. There's a tenor about the group. But the reality is, and you know this, Towny, it's one thing to say it. It's one thing to feel it. It's one thing to realize that the talent's in the room. It's another thing to go out there and perform and do it day in, day out. So I am very optimistic that we'll see a big leap forward from a year ago. But, do I think they're going to be a 500 team all next year? Possibly. Could they be better than that? Sure. Could they be below that? Yes. Like they could be any scenario until they truly prove to themselves what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, there's going to be high expectations. Can they live up to it? And we see in other sports, whether it be the NFL or the NBA, we can see teams make just these dramatic improvements from year to year. I mean, if we go back to 91, what we saw with the Twins and the Braves, how they go from last place to playing in the World Series, doesn't happen often. From a player's perspective, why is it that it is so hard to gain a lot from season to season?
Injuries. I mean, we could talk about, we just saw it 2 years ago with 2 last place teams matching up in the World Series. That was the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. But then you dig into their rosters, and the years that they ended up playing in the World Series together, their rosters got healthy. They had studs. You can't have a roster and turn it around without studs, without aircraft carriers. And that's why I was pointing out when it comes to Butler, it's like, here's a guy that might be a superstar, could be in Atlanta as an all-star this year. But if it doesn't turn into that, one of those, aircraft carriers with Brent Rooker is not there. Is it Shea Langoliers? Is Langoliers going to be one of the league's best power hitting catchers? Not sure. So in order for the thing to turn around, you need production. You need these players to turn into whatever their ceiling possibly is and be consistent with it. And if that's the case, then yes, we could see an A's team win 85 games. We could see them win 90 games if they go on a roll and they're dominating Sacramento. You could see it. But until they actually believe in it, you can't pick. You can't predict.
Now, fans might not think it's a big deal, but for the players, when they have the owner stand in front of them and make the announcement that Mark Kotsay is signing this extension that's taking him into Vegas, and the players who in the past always thought, if I play well, once I get expensive, I'll get shipped out. But now Rooker signed, Severino signed. Right now, there's rumblings of, and we've talked to Lawrence about it, we believe Lawrence will sign some type of extension before the start of the season. As a player, though, what does it mean when you know that, okay, look at the commitment, especially to my manager? What does that mean to a player?
From a manager standpoint, it's great, especially if, Kotsay's gone through it. The last 3 years has not been easy. I wouldn't imagine that most managers would sign up for what he went through. Of course, when you're first-time manager, you'll do whatever it takes to make sure you get that opportunity. And he did it, and he did a really good job. Last year, I was around him multiple times. I've known Kotsay since he was at Cal State Fullerton when he was the best college player in baseball. And I've known him for a long time. He's truth, right? It's a truth serum. He's not going to fake it. That's the one thing that players cannot stand, is when you have somebody that lies to your face, or doesn't tell you the truth. Kotsay will tell you the truth. And then to the point of the owner putting money into the team, listen, I come from the outside perspective, so I'm a little bit different. When I see it, I'm happy about it. I also want to see it more consistently. I don't want to feel like the reason why you're having to buy, spend on a Severino or extend a Butler or a Rooker is because you want to, not because you have to. So until we get to that spot overall, year after year, where I feel like he wants to versus he has to, I'm going to be skeptical. I'll be honest. I'm going to be skeptical. I like the signs. Rooker deserves it. What a great story. Severino is a bit of a premium, overpay, but for a guy that's going to be productive. So I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, you talk the talk and walk the walk, and when you do it, people will believe it. And as you said, on a consistent basis, that's what we're hearing, and we're with you on that. We all want to see that. On the side of where you're going with Apple TV, I thought about you because we're going to have Jared Diamond on later today from the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if you're able to see his recent article, talk about the divorce with ESPN, where baseball is going. We know the NBA just did these crazy streaming contracts for $77 billion. There's all this money. You know a lot about this. I know you talk about on your show. What scares the heck out of me, Spilly, is that we've got lawyers and former players already starting to fight and talk about work stoppage when you're like, hey, dummies, Silicon Valley, where we are, is looking to pay billions of dollars for content. Do you really think that's a good business idea? It's almost like, I want to get rid of the lawyers and the ex-players. Can we get some business people in here to tell everybody, hey, the money is so good. You guys, it's archaic the way they fight and negotiate.
Yeah, so you're preaching to the choir on this one. I have been banging that business drum for quite some time. I think we have a bit of an antiquated office. I think we have some people that are stuck in their old ways, owners, players, maybe even the shape of the system might be a little antiquated. Could we see a version of a cap and a floor? I used to be on the executive committee. Part of the union. I'm a union guy, but that doesn't automatically make me anti-salary cap. That's like the common misnomer. Most rank and file guys are going to make, league minimum for 3 years and be gone. There is a scenario where it makes sense, raising the floor. I also think like Towny, I don't think every owner in Major League Baseball right now should be an owner of a major league team. I don't think they qualify anymore. I think there's been some that have been grandfathered in that it's time to move on or bring in an equity partner. So I think there's a couple things that have to happen, because before we even get to the CBA, and the frustrating part, again, I was part of the executive committee. If I hear that we are, trending towards a lockout, which none of us want to talk about, first off, that's idiotic when it comes to aren't you trying to get a national TV rights deal? That's the last thing you should be saying right now. And number two, I understood the premise of it. A lockout does create leverage for either side during that time frame. But from now until that part in December, are you saying you can't in good faith negotiate so you never get to that place? It doesn't, like, these things don't line up. And I'm with you. Whether it's a third party consultant from Silicon Valley and you have another one for the union over here, businessmen that can, or women, doesn't matter, that can come see eye to eye for the good of the sport because it's good for the fans is where we should be headed, not talking about some sort of lockout 2 years from now.
It is. At my club, I only get to play one tournament a year, right? Because of our schedule. We were talking with this guy who's a sales guy, has a team in Silicon Valley. They just did a $3 billion deal for AI. $3 billion. And I'm like, listen, we're all like, oh my God. So like you think of the money that's here, and also with Amazon, the Pacific Northwest, they need content. They need live content. We provide the most live content. It's business. And it's like, we're still sitting here with lawyers and ex-players fighting each other. It's like, guys, you're screwing the pooch here. It's like, I mean, there's so much money to be divided, but you've seen it. Like, you're doing the Apple TV games. This is the future.
Yeah. And look, Apple TV, whether, we still get some criticisms from several years ago when it first started out. I think what Apple TV, from my perspective, the games are produced by MLB Network. It's not produced by Apple TV. It's by Apple. It's produced by MLB Network. We stream on Apple TV. The quality that Apple wants is off the charts good. The people that they want producing their show, they want in love with the sport, in love with your player, like knowing all the storylines so we don't come in here and muff the punt, right? Like, we want to prove like consistently day in, day out, every Friday night that your stadium is awesome, that your fans are awesome, that this is an experience that you can have. You can switch. If you don't like my national call, you can switch and you can listen to Ken Korak, right? Like, you can go to the radio feed. If they're playing the Giants, you can go and listen to Dave Fleming. Like there's no boxes here where people complain about the national feed as being, I don't want to listen to Ryan Spilborghs and Alex Faust. These guys stink. It's not forced to you. You can pick the radio part. Like, they're doing everything they can to give you quality broadcasts with views and stats and interactions that you don't normally get. And it's not meant to take away from your viewing experience. Like, that's the whole point of it. And we're going to get there. Like, overall, the viewing experience is going to be eventually in one spot, hopefully, with, the quality is going to be across the board the same. We're going to get there, and it'll be a much better landscape because of it.
Well, Loudouts doesn't stink, and your Apple games don't stink. And good luck this year with the Colorado Rockies and everything you do with them. Have a good season, and we look forward to talking to you throughout the year. You be well, my friend.
Thank you, Towny. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, Ryan Spilborghs from so many different places, but that's what's that is fascinating, right? You like what A's Cast is, right? Some people, you're watching A's Cast right now. You're watching it on YouTube. You're watching it on Twitter. When we created this thing years ago, people thought, "What are you doing? That's crazy." We're like, no. Not to upset anybody, but the future is going to be this, because everybody has a phone and everybody is doing everything with their phone. So you can listen to us on A's Cast. If you want to be traditional, listen to traditional radio. We're on 650 KSTE in Sacramento, and now we're on The Bull.
95.5 KWNR, FM The Bull, HC2 in Vegas.
And the other affiliates that you'll be able to listen to the games throughout the year. So we'll take care of you in terrestrial radio. We'll take care of you in streaming, right? Now we're venturing into the cable world to where we're going to be hosting the pre- and post-game show on NBC. The game will still be the game, right? Dallas, Jenny, and Chris. But yeah, at some point, you're going to go to one spot, and then you'll have the options of what do I want to listen to? TV people. Do I want to listen to the radio people? But we're not even going to call you radio people anymore. And we're not going to call you TV people anymore because everything will be streaming. You're going to just be the broadcasters. It's like for the hardest time, people, when I explain what we do, is they're like, well, you're on TV? Like, what is TV? So many people don't have cable anymore. You just watch, if you watch the Oscars, which I did, everything was non-traditional movies. This isn't like Paramount. And it was on Netflix. Netflix had the most movies and they had the most nominations of anybody. Netflix. Not Paramount, not all the Fox, not all the people who traditionally the Hollywood movie people. It's now changed. So you're watching the Oscars and it's a bunch of Netflix movies. I mean, it's just like the world has changed. How we as human beings are getting our content for entertainment is completely changing.
Like a good example, like we mentioned this before, but new audience on Talk 650 KST and everyone listening on Acecast and in 95.5 KWNR in Vegas. The big thing to follow when you look at streaming and how sports are going is monitor what WWE is doing with Monday Night Raw on Netflix. They paid them $5 billion to stream Monday Night Raw exclusively on Netflix. And not
on USA, not on TNT.
No, USA still carries SmackDown on Friday nights, but Monday Night Raw, the flagship show of WWE that's been going on for 30 plus years, is exclusively on Netflix. And they paid $5 billion to WWE for it. And this is where the NFL games are on Netflix on Christmas. The NFL games were on Netflix on Christmas Day.
Are you ever going to grow out of the wrestling?
Probably not. I mean, it's a hobby. There's a lot of people older than me that watch it. They do it for a living. I listen to a podcast. Actually, show on Sirius XM.
Have you ever seen them pan the crowd?
It's old people, yeah. Well, there's a lot of young people there. I was just at Raw a couple weeks, or like 2 months ago. Trust me, I'm not the only person in my mid-30s that watches professional wrestling.
No, you're not. But there were some times when my mother would say, some people, it's a cry for help.
I go in phases. There's years where I didn't watch. Then I went back.
Okay. My favorite is when you pan the crowd and the excitement and everything. It's like, yeah, I get it, but it's not.
Hey,
it's not real.
Mainstream news. John Cena becoming a bad guy was all over the place yesterday. ESPN talked about it all morning. I still couldn't believe it.
Just because certain people like it doesn't mean. Just saying.
I get it. It's not for everyone. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Just like reality TV is not my thing. I don't care about the Kardashians.
You don't?
No, sorry. No offense to Kim.
Hey, at least that's real. No, I like wrestling. I haven't watched wrestling in years. My guys are all gone or retired.
Say Flair's still around. He put out a picture. He's working out in the gym yesterday.
The great Ric Flair. Oh, Macho Man. I was watching the thing about Macho Man. It was talking about Macho Man, talking about his baseball career. Starting out with the St. Louis Cardinals organization.
A good friend of our program, former baseball player, now pitcher. I think he's still in the Yankee system, Brett Phillips. If you are a baseball fan, you remember him doing the airplane after the Rays walked off in the World Series. Comes on this program. Grew up, lived next door to Randy Macho Man Savage.
Where is he now? He was trying to be a pitcher.
He was. I wonder if he's still with the Yankees. He just had a kid recently. I'll have to see if he's still. It says he's a free agent now, so I don't think he's with the Yankees. I'll shoot him a text because he's a great person. Maybe he's a guy we bring on in spring to talk baseball.
We love him, whether he's playing or not. You can never have enough. But getting back to
I tied all the streaming with WWE and how that's the future of broadcasting with Netflix and stuff.
Can we get back to baseball, not your wrestling, or is there anything else wrestling you want to get?
No,
you want Royal Rumble coming up?
Whoa, that was 2 months ago. You're behind. Actually, it was a month ago.
I'm behind.
It was a month ago.
But that's the deal. And one of the things that I think has been great has been that the NFL has really paved the way for everybody. Because the NFL, when they start doing those Thursday night games on Amazon, it just conditions everybody, right? The number one The NFL is the number one entertainment institution in our country. Nothing is bigger than the NFL. They have everybody's eyeballs. More people watch football than anything else in this country. Whether it's sports or not, NFL is the most consumed product from an entertainment standpoint in our country. And when we started doing those early YouTube games, everybody hates it. People hate change. But the NFL going to this Amazon Prime game really conditioned people to be like, whether I like it or not, I'm going to do it because I want to watch it. Well, then once everybody falls in line behind them and it goes forward, you now start to realize, okay, it's not so crazy when you think like those early morning Sunday Peacock games in baseball. I remember we had one. I don't remember what year it was.
Since Cleveland, right?
I don't remember.
I started being an East Coast
I had
team.
pregame at a very early time.
I think it was Cleveland.
It was Sunday. I was on at like 7 a.m. or whatever it was. It was like, this is awful. But yeah, that was all criticized. But now what we're seeing with the NFL, which is going to bring people to it to make people understand that the traditional networks, whether you're talking about NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, then we all got used to, what am I watching now? It's Sports Channel, and then it's Fox Sports. Well, then it's Comcast Sportsnet, and then now it's NBC, or it was Bally's, it was this, it was that.
FanDuel now.
You're realizing, and if we'll talk to Jared Diamond about that, that's that in this article, as he called it, instead of me calling it, as he called it, an archaic model. The archaic model, and they don't have the money that the tech people have. So trying to bilk cable companies, because the cable companies would pay you money for your rights, because then they think people would sign up for cable. That was the model, the business model. Well, the majority of people, especially watching and listening to this program, I bet probably 90% of you don't have cable. I might be one of the last A's employees that still has cable.
I cut the cord just for my.
Everybody has. That's what I'm saying.
Ago.
Over 90%, I guarantee over 90% of the people watching, you don't have cable. So if that's the case, how is the business model, cable companies and sports, and for us, cable companies and baseball, how do you hold on to that model? I get the certain teams, Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees, Mets, whoever it may be, who are going to try and hold. They've got a great deal. If I'm the Dodgers, why would I want to give up my deal? But in this article that we're going to talk to Jared Diamond about, that's Rob Manfred's like, hey, guys, we all got to package ourselves. That's the NFL model. Now, the NFL model was package ourselves to network television. And then, of course, ESPN was going to buy in and Amazon bought in. But now, essentially, what the NBA model is, hey, we're all going to come together and we're going to have the streaming. This is going streaming. And the NBA package, I want to say, was $77 billion. So baseball, you're going to have to get all 30 teams to say, all right, we're all jumping in this pool together. Now, I'm not sure, because here comes Hal Steinbrenner. Well, why would I do this? Heaven forbid we do what's right. But I get it, it's business. And you're going to hold on. You may say, well, you got to pay me more money. But you want me to give up. If I'm the Dodgers or I'm the Yankees and you want me to give away my cable deal to go into your big deal, you got to give me more money. You got to give me more of the pie. It's all negotiations. But the key word here is imbalance. There is an imbalance right now in our sport. And as long as there's that, it's not healthy. We saw the Padres go all in and everybody applauded it. And we told you it's going to be a disaster. Peter Seidler, don't know Peter Seidler, God rest his soul, but he wanted to win. And all of a sudden, he's no longer with us. And now financial things aren't great financially for the San Diego Padres. So we saw a team without a cable deal go all in. And I bet you if you threw them a lifeline right now and say, hey, I'll allow you to get out of the Xander Bogaerts deal. I'll allow you to get out of the Manny Machado deal. I'll allow you to get out of the Fernando Tatis Jr. deal. Here's a lifeline. Would you take it? How much you want to bet the Padres would say, oh, yeah, I'll get out from all this money right now?
Yeah, I mean, because we've seen them talk about trading guys away the last couple of years, and they want to get out. I mean, the Machado deal as he gets older doesn't look. I mean, the Bogaerts one looks the worst. Tatis has been fine. I mean, now he's a right fielder, but yeah, I'm sure they'd want to get out of it so they have more money, free cash flow than they do now.
Cash flow? They just want to get out of the deal. It's hundreds of millions of dollars
for each guy. Each guy's like what, almost 300
You think
million?
they want to be paying these guys all this money?
You're essentially paying three guys almost $900 million.
It's crazy. I get it. The owner wanted to win, but now it's like, but if everybody was in this one deal and everybody was making whatever they were making, it changes Pittsburgh. It changes Milwaukee, Minnesota. It changes all these teams. Similar to what you see with football. By the way, the Kansas City Chiefs are not seen as a small market team in football. Am I correct?
No.
But are the Kansas City Royals?
Yes.
Are the Steelers considered a small market team in football?
Absolutely not.
But the Pittsburgh. So how are teams in football not small market, but then small market in baseball? That's the problem with the imbalance. Let's pause for station identification right here on A's Cast. Coming up next, speaking of NBC Sports California and also A's Cast, Chris Caray will be calling games on television and radio this year for the Athletics, and he'll join us next right here on A's Cast Live.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. A's starting pitcher Luis Severino joined Towny on A's Cast Live in Mesa and discussed his role as a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
For me, just learning from the guys that like when I was younger, Cesar Sabathia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, I played with Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big league. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. When my first year, I was trying to impress everybody, so right now it's just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time. You don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% up there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to, let them know what I learned while I was younger.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast. A's All-Star Mason Miller joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about the responsibility getting the final 3 outs in a game.
Exciting. The time of game, everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm in there, it's an opportunity for us to win.
Yeah.
So just pitching with that energy, pitching with that mentality that I just got to get 3 outs. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It's just just get 3 outs, hold the lead, get the guys in the locker room and celebrate a win. So I love it, and I feel like I just embrace it and take the role for what it is.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletic.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All the positive stuff we've been doing today, it is spring training, so that means things start to happen that aren't always positive. Just reality. When you deal in sports, it's like training camp every day in football. There's like, oh my God, this guy get hurt. This guy that. Go ahead. What do we got?
So Martin Gallegos, who covers the Athletics for MLB.com, tweeted out earlier, gave a couple injury updates. There was something in there about Waldachuk and his progression. And
Waldachuk, by the way, could be back summer. I don't want to put a timeline on him, and I don't think it's fair to put a timeline. Remember, Waldachuk has as new an elbow as you can get. He got Tommy John. He got the brace. He's got the most modern technology that they have in the medical world for saving your elbow for a pitcher. He's got the most up-to-date software in his arm.
So Martin's reporting Waldachuk is starting a bullpen progression. That's good news. He had Tommy John, I think, in May of last year.
Get me to Basso. Yeah. What do you got?
So Brady Basso shut down with a left shoulder strain. No timetable for his return at this time.
That's not good, but these things are going to happen. And Basso is somebody that was not going to start the season on the 26-man roster. He was somebody that is going to, and we had him on this show when we were down there at spring. He is somebody that is going to be at AAA, and he's going to be reinforcements with a future of potentially being in the rotation. So that's not good news, but it's all right. These things happen. It's happening all over. Heel with the Yankees now is out. I mean, it's like you're gonna start. Guys are starting to play. They're starting to go through their second and third. I mean, Dodgers and Cubs are well past the halfway point because they're going to play in Japan. You'll start hearing about certain guys have hurt this, they've hurt that. They're going to be slow to this, slow to rehab. Things happen, and that's why you have to have depth. That's why depth of your 40-man roster is so key. But Basso, not starting the season ready to rock, is not. Basso is somebody you're going to need later in the season. Hopefully you'll have your starters intact for a good while. We know they all won't go because this just doesn't work that way. But you need Basso for later in the year when you need reinforcements. And Basso's learned to be a guy that can get can get hitters out, whether he's starting or he's coming out of the bullpen. We talked a lot about that lefty curveball and it being fantastic. It's a weapon. So that's not great news, but Waldachuk's great news, right? Because Waldachuk has a terrific arm. Came over from the Yankees, St. Mary's product, and when he gets rolling, he's got nasty dominant stuff. You can't right now rely on anything because you don't know. But if he comes back and if he's healthy, and when he comes back, he's got the peace of mind. It's one of the huge things. They were talking about it last night on MLB Network. I can't remember who they were talking about. Maybe McClanahan or somebody. They were talking about the peace of mind for somebody who is a dynamic arm to feel like I don't have to worry every single pitch if I'm healthy or not. I can now. You know, a guy who we talked a lot about this subject with was Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett, who struggled coming back from Tommy John. It just became such a huge relief when it finally got to that point. You know, I did an interview with him in 2000. When was that? When did we go to Japan?
19.
Was it 19? Was it 19?
I believe so.
Yeah, it might have been 19 then. So we're at the Tokyo Dome. And when's Jared Diamond? 11:30. Okay.
11:30, yeah.
We'll get to Chris Carey in a second. So we're in the Tokyo Dome. And because of Chris Bassett's setbacks, the A's were able to send Chris Bassett back to AAA because you usually have 3 years, but because of medical reasons, it was a 4th year they could send him and he wouldn't be put out on waivers. And he was angry about it. And I'll never forget doing the interview with him at the Tokyo Dome. And the PR guy at the time was secretly listening to the interview. And then after it was like, you can't play that. And I'm like hell, I'm not going to play that. So I went directly into the dugout to our general manager, David Force. I said, David, this is what happened. This is the interview. Do you have a problem with that? And David goes, no, I totally understand. If I was Chris, I'd be angry too. But it's the business, and we're, like David is, so level-headed. It's the business. We're allowed to do this, so we're going to do it because it's in the best interest of us and end up being in the best interest of Chris Bassett. Because Bassett would later come up, get trust with Bob Melvin. They'd bang heads a little bit, but then it would blossom into a beautiful relationship. And Chris Bassett is now a very rich man because of it. But for Chris Bassett, it was the ability to get on the mound and let it go and not worry, because for so long, every time he picked up a baseball, he worried about his health. And that's what happens when you're coming back, whether it's your ligament in your elbow or it's the capsule in your rotator. You go through surgeries and rehabs. You're always worried, like, did this work? Can I be the same player again? Can I let it go without fearing that, oh my God, I'm going to have surgery again, my career's over? I mean, it's heavy stuff. And hopefully Waldichuk soon. And, let's face it, as much as we're about to start this journey and it seems like a long journey, once the season starts, the All-Star break comes pretty quick, right? Like, it flies by because it's every day. It just takes up your time. Like, you're going to have all these people in Sacramento that you have baseball for the first time in your town, and you'll see this thing flies. And Waldichuk, knock on wood, will be ready to rock. Another guy that I don't even think about when we were down there this spring and we were talking about all the different players that the A's have in their stable, all the guys that they have, like, hey, this is a potential guy that could be starting. We didn't even think about Waldichuk. And there's so many guys like that in every single organization who have Tommy John surgery, and it's not 12 months anymore. No one's trying to beat 12 months anymore, because there was always that, hey, I'm going to be faster. Like, no, that's not smart. We want it to be 14 months. It's over a year. So we want to give you that time for it to heal and for you to be ready to go so you can come back and be a very productive player. So we didn't even talk about Waldichuk. But Waldichuk comes back, that's a dynamic arm. You're going to need as many dynamic arms, and you probably hear that all the time, but it's just the truth. You're going to need a lot of starters. You're going to need over 10 of them. So if you've got guys coming off the shelf who will be ready to rock midseason, great. Because all of a sudden, I was watching it last night with Heel going down with the Yankees. Like, all of a sudden, that Stroman thing about him being thank God we got him, right? Before you didn't need him, now you need. You may think right now you don't need a guy. Case in point, Mitch Spence. Mitch Spence made the team last year because he was a Rule 5 pick and he was pitching out of the bullpen. Next thing you know, Mitch Spence made 24 starts for the A's last year. So you may go into a season not thinking you need somebody, and then by midseason or later in the year, you're like, thank God we've got this guy. So Basso, rest up, get better. Waldichuk later on could be a major factor in the season, especially when we think this team's going to be a lot better and you're playing for something, and we start talking about, well, it's like, you need to go add trading deadline. You need to go get people. You got bringing somebody back like Ken Waldichuk, who we've seen at times when healthy can be dominant. I mean, that's like adding a free agent, adding a trade piece. Just getting a guy that you haven't thought about in over a year, it's huge. Chris Caray, a lot of responsibilities this year. Going to be doing television, calling play-by-play with Dallas Braden on NBC Sports California, and he'll be hopping over on the A's Cast streaming / radio side, where that's what he was doing in the minor leagues for the Amarillo Sod Poodles. If it wasn't for Chris Caray, I would have no idea what a sod poodle is.
People don't remember, but his Diamondbacks knowledge, not great. It's gotten better, I think. But
well, for people who don't know, Amarillo, the Sod Poodles, are the AA affiliate of the Diamondbacks. So we had Chris Caray, like we did with Johnny in spring training, where we were testing people's knowledge about organizations. Chris, being a very young man, was not alive
for a lot of the Diamondbacks history.
For Diamondbacks don't have a lot of history, but the Luis Gonzalez 7-game epic series between the D-backs and the Yankees, yeah, not so much. Not so much. Current D-backs.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll, you talk about Alec Thomas, talk about those guys. He knows all of them.
He's got those guys, but his
Brandon Webb knowledge not great.
And I will say this again, this kid is uber talented. You want talent? Chris Caray is uber talented. And we'll be doing national games at some point. I don't know when, but when he is, when you turn on, and it'll probably be streaming at that point, when you're streaming a national game and you see Chris Caray, go, Townsend called that years ago. Chris Caray, it's great to have him part of the A's broadcast team. We caught up with him down at spring training. On A's Cast Live, he's one of my favorites, Chris Caray. Broadcaster now, it's just not TV broadcaster. You're now coming over to the dark side, to the streaming / terrestrial radio side. How are you?
I'm stoked to be back. I'm stoked to get to work with you guys. I mean, the product that you guys put on last year and the reputation you guys have built for yourselves is so huge. And I'm so thankful to the A's for giving me an opportunity to get to call games on the radio again, because everybody knows that baseball and radio go hand in hand. I love my job at NBC, but it's going to be a really cool opportunity to get to work with you guys and collaborate in this new city.
You think about when we first met you and, you were coming here, you kind of had no idea how it was going to go. You had a great year last year, doing so many of the home games and the calls, just reflecting on last year, going from you'd only really done radio, you hadn't done much TV, to now being a TV guy. What was that like, thinking about the offseason and the year you had?
I didn't reflect on it too much because I think that there's still so much to learn. But as you know, Towny, like you go from radio to TV. Radio is a lot more descriptive, and TV has a lot more elements that are getting thrown at you. So it's a totally different experience broadcasting on TV versus radio. And just the season itself, I was proud of it. There's still stuff I can build on and work on. But, the reason that I feel like I had a successful season was it started off hot. I mean, my first game was a walk-off win, Lawrence Butler on April the 12th. And then after that kind of set the tone for the rest of my season to where I was excitable, ready to go, and that was kind of my deal. And I think that that's what the fans gravitated towards, and that's what I'm going to bring to the table in Sacramento.
So now we're going to have you doing some games of radio. A lot of people may not know your radio background. Talk about the radio background, how you came to us from doing radio play-by-play.
Yeah, so I was, it's so funny, my first baseball job was in radio. I was 19 years old when I started actual broadcasting on air, and I was at Valdosta State, the same place Darren Bush went. I went there for 1 year, and I did the Blazer baseball team. I was not good. And then slowly but surely, I was a station director, a sports director at WUOG, which is Georgia's student station. And we did softball, and we did some women's basketball and stuff like that. And then I eventually went to the Cape, which was obviously like a radio stream type of thing. And then for the last, well, I won't say the last 2 years, but before last year, the 2 years before, I was in Amarillo, Texas, calling games on the radio there. So for the Panhandle Sports Stars. So I have a little bit of experience doing radio, not as much as all of you, but it's going to be a learning experience and a great process. So I'm not flying blind, but I'm a little rusty. So give me a little bit of a chance to prove myself. It might not be perfect day one, but let's get to day 100 and see how it goes.
What's going to be great, though, is that the flow of the season, now getting you back involved in the everyday, because I know it wasn't easy for you, and you did a great job, to where Ginny would do the road games, you're doing the home games. So when the team went on the road, you're kind of you're away from it. Now with doing the radio, just talk about how you're going to have more of the flow throughout the season because you're going to be doing a lot more games.
Yeah, I mean, I won't have to blow Johnny's phone up when he's on the road anymore. He and I will be able to talk and converse. And
Are you talking about Johnny Doskow?
Johnny Doskow.
So if he hasn't lost his phone, you can...
He's getting better at it.
Okay.
It's New Year's resolution. We're good.
Okay.
No, but I would call Johnny a lot on the road just to kind of seep in information and try and process what was going on. Because yes, being away from the team when they're on the road, that's the best time to get to know the players and the coaches on a more personal human level. Versus at home, everything is kind of very process oriented and everybody goes home. When you're at the road, you're staying in the same hotels. And I think it's going to be a unique opportunity to develop my relationships with Dallas and Jenny and the rest of the team. And I think that will actually elevate the broadcast for me and allow me to be even more comfortable in a place that has been so kind to me and embraced me to where I feel and I think it just seems a lot more comfortable this year.
You know, I think about carving out your own niche. We've talked so much, and everybody, when they speak to you, obviously is going to talk about your family's legacy in baseball. It's really, from a broadcasting standpoint, is second to none. But just how is, now that you've done it for a year, this is your second year, how important is it you're carving your own way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to be in an organization in a place that doesn't put that tremendous pressure on you, right? Like if you're a Yankee or a Red Sox, you have to be perfect every single day. Here, if you make mistakes, obviously you want to learn from them. But here, they're accepting. The fan base has been so kind to me, and I every single game was not 100%. It wasn't perfect, and I think that allowing myself to make those mistakes and grow from them in this place for many years to come is something that I want to do. And my legacy is important, but this team's legacy, our broadcast team, what we do in Sacramento, what we do even beyond that, is even more important to me because at the end of the day, I love this group and I want to be a part of this group for a very long time.
Got the place in Sacramento? Are you ready to go? Is you ready to start this thing?
Yeah, I got it all figured out. I had a little bit of help from Johnny. You're sensing a common trend here because it's true. I got a place, Airbnb in Midtown, so I'm really excited to get going. I've never been to Sacramento before at all.
You never been to
Never.
our... By the way, Chris Caray joining us here on A's Cast Live. You've never been to the state capital of the great state of California?
I have never been. And I'm so excited to go. I hear from all the players that the energy is fantastic.
Yeah.
They are ready to embrace this team. The fans are so excited. It's a great sports town. I mean, you look at the Sacramento Kings and what they do at the Golden One Center. I mean, this is going to be a really unique and fun experience. And we have the opportunity to make this experience even better, right? Now, I know some people are saying we're playing in a minor league ballpark, but when you really look at it, every single game is going to be sold out. The players are going to gravitate towards that. I think wins are actually going to be accrued because of that. And I just think that this opportunity is great for me. It's great for the team. And I think this team's going to surprise a lot of people in Sacramento.
Welcome to the dark side. Chris Caray now on radio and on streaming here on A's Cast. Of course, you'll be able to see him on NBC Sports California for all the home games. And road games, where are you going on the road?
So it's not all the home games this year. It's so
From a television standpoint, you'll be doing a lot of road radio.
Yes, but a lot of road radio. I think Jenny's doing 31-ish home games on TV. So it's going to be a little bit more of a mix. I'm going to do about 50 home games on TV, a little bit at home, but mostly on the road for radio. And then I'll do, a little bit of a slate, 20 some odd game slate on the road on TV.
And the Chicago series will be pretty incredible, right?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think getting to go to a place where my great grandfather had his fingerprints on, in the South Side before he got to, Wrigley Field and the North Side. He left the A's to go to the White Sox, and then the rest was history. So I have a very special place in my heart for that city. I haven't gotten to experience the White Sox a lot. It's mostly been Cubs, so it's going to be a really big series, and I have a few surprises planned for our broadcast team. So I haven't been back in so long, so I'm really, really excited to get going.
It's going to be good stuff. Chris Caray right here on A's Cast Live. Now, if you were listening to that, you did not see the video of Chris Caray wearing I forgot he was wearing the Johnny Cool Guy shades.
Yeah, he oozed coolness when when I walked up to put the mic on him, when we mic'd him up, he was just like, give me that look like, all right, come on, don't mess up my shirt.
Wow.
I'm not taking the
Did
shades
he
off.
just like Tom Cruise, Top Gun, Cool Breeze that or what?
Well, that's a good call. Tom Cruise wearing the aviator they look like aviator
Right?
sunglasses. Yeah.
I'd tell you to rewind it, but that's not how our technology works. Can you put it back up there just so they can see it?
Yeah, I can probably turn off the sun. Here we go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, look at that. Now, you may not see, if you're just listening on A's Cast or Talk 650 KSTE, he went Johnny Big League on it. See, I told you, he's going to be big league. He's just getting you ready for it.
So there you go. Yeah, I hit up there. You can go back and watch and listen to it at your leisure and your pleasure.
He's got a great sense of the moment. Play-by-play is when the big moments in the game. I always think back years and years ago. I'm at KMBR, and we're doing 49er stuff. Yes, I did Raiders. I was the Raider guy for a long, long time. But before I ever did Raiders, I did 49er stuff. Like the first gig I ever had with KMBR, like the very beginning was going because I'm a South Bay guy. I know we have to explain everything now. Yes, for people who don't understand the Bay Area, when you live in the Bay Area, we kind of label you based on where you live in the Bay Area. So if you live in the Alameda County, we'll call you an East Bay person. If you live in Santa Clara County, you'd be a South Bay, and there's North Bay, on and on. Peninsula is so cool, they don't get called West Bay. They just get called the Peninsula because they're rich.
They're the 650.
Yeah, they're rich. They're the rich people. They don't get labeled like that. So John Schrader, our good friend John Schrader, some of you may remember that name because remember, KMBR was huge in Sacramento. We used to get massive ratings in Sacramento when I was at KMBR. I don't know now, but we got massive ratings. So John Schrader was the 49ers reporter. I would go, my original gig was to go to 49er camp in Santa Clara, which is literally, 8 minutes from my house? And I'd walk in there, and you're fresh out of college, right? I'm thinking I'm pretty cool, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm talking to Steve Young. I'm talking to Jerry Rice. These guys are titans in the game of football, right? You're like, I cannot, but Tim McDonald. I remember all these guys. I was just like, I was fascinated being in there, right? The Niners had just won the Super Bowl my last year of baseball at San Jose State. Then I got into my career. So it was the end of that 49ers run, and it was a who's who, right? But anyway, point is, I remember Joe Buck, the legendary Joe Buck, doing Monday Night Football, and he was awful. And I hate to say this, but talking about a broadcaster's got to be able to, especially from the audio standpoint, you got to seize the moment. Ken Korak seizes the moment. And I'll never forget, the cut was Steve Young has this dramatic play where he rolls out and he's scrambling, he's dodging, and off of his back foot throws this bullet to Brent Jones, the great Brent Jones, who I've known for years. We got to get Brent on. He's a wonderful man. Went to the same high school as my wife, Leland High. He's from Almaden Valley.
He always does interviews with Tom Tolbert, former Warriors player, Warriors broadcaster, formerly KMBR.
Tolbert now coming to our world on YouTube. Good luck to Tommy T.
Yeah, one of the first guys he interviewed, I think, was Brent Jones. I saw on social media, or it might have been in the Mercury News piece.
Tom Tolbert's a good man. All the best to Tom Tolbert. But here was the call. Never forget Monday, because we're like, this was like a huge play, and we're doing post game, right? And and it was Young looking, touchdown Jones. That was the radio call. Now on television, Steve Young's running for his life, throws off his back foot. Brent Jones back in the end zone. It was incredible. But Joe Buck was old. and he was there because of his name. Young, looking, touchdown Jones.
You mean Jack Buck?
Jack Buck. Did I say Joe Buck?
Joe, say
Jack Buck.
I'll say
I'm sorry.
Joe's economy of words guy too, so he learned it from his dad. So yeah, makes sense.
Sorry, Joe. I meant your dad, Jack. I cannot believe what I have just saw.
It just made me think when you said old, I'm like, he wasn't old then. He's like 50 something now.
No. He was Jack Buck. Now, Jack Buck in his day had great calls. The Wizard, right? When Ozzie Smith hit that home run. But he was really old at the time. That's Chris Caray has that sense of the moment, right? He gets it, has the call. It's a big moment, comes across, and that's a great trait to have. And that's what gets you to the big leagues, is when you have that. So looking forward to having Chris Caray. Maybe, just maybe, like you heard us with Dallas Braden. Supposedly we're going to get more Dallas Braden this year. Supposedly we're going to get more Chris Caray this year. That'll go under the category of I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Dallas is everywhere. Dallas is at everybody. Can we get him? Can we get him here?
Caray might be easier to track down.
You know who's not easy to track down? By the way, I hope you can get Wall Street Journal articles. If you can't, it's worth signing up just the freebie. This article Jared Diamond did in the Wall Street Journal about the business of baseball, the divorce with ESPN. This piece breaks it down. It's fabulous. I read it last night, and I immediately texted Cody, get me Jared Diamond. This was awesome. And we're going to talk about that article next, right here on A's Cast Live.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
A's right fielder Lawrence Butler joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live to talk about him being a symbol of the organization.
I mean, it means a lot because it just shows me how much, they value. I love the A's. I love the organization from the ground crew to the trainers. I mean, I just love everything about it. I bleed green and gold. And, for them to just acknowledge me as that and everybody just to keep telling me, keep going, and all the coaches coming back from the minor leagues, I'm seeing them and stuff like that. It means a lot because, so the hard work that I put in and they put in, with me. So, it means a lot to me.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's lefty J.P. Sears joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live in Mesa to discuss his ability to take the ball every 5 days.
I think that's one of the main things you try and do as a starting pitcher is your availability. And it kind of comes with, having a good routine and, sticking to routine and kind of learning, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So, I've been proud of being able to do that the past couple of years and looking to do that again this year. But, obviously there's always things we want to get better at. And, there's ways I feel like I can help this team out a lot more than I have in the past. And so, I've done a pretty good job, I feel like, of, getting a lot of quantity, a lot of a lot of innings the last couple of years, but just want to sharpen up those outings that, you're talking about. The rough ones are the ones that kind of can go either way. Those are really the big season definers there and team definers.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
Are you going to be ready for Las Vegas this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, 3 days, a lot of work.
3 days is a long time in Las Vegas. 3 days is like a month. I once did a 5-day. My best friend got married. I did a. Go ahead, call Jared.
I will.
I did a 5-day bachelor party.
Good Lord.
That I had to put on for my best friend. 5 days in Vegas. It was the longest 5 days in the history of my life. We went to a prize fight. We played golf. We did all these events. But the thing was, you had guys showing up for the beginning of it, and then guys would leave because, like, 2 days in Vegas, you got to get out. And then we had guys coming on the back part of it. So there was only 3 of us that stayed there for all 5 days. And I'll never forget how I felt after the 5th day, 5 full days, leaving on the 6th day of a bachelor party in Vegas.
I think we have Jared.
Jared, are you with us?
I am with you.
Would you agree that 5 days in Las Vegas for a bachelor party is far too long?
That is approximately at least 2 times more than I would want to spend in Las Vegas. 2 days is about as much as I could handle. But like, maybe that's just me. I only have been to Las Vegas for work. I've never been there for fun, but I've always felt after 2 or 3 days of work that I'm ready to go home.
By the
That's
way,
just me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Usually 2 days of partying in Vegas and not sleeping, it is time to get out. I just want to, obviously, all the work that you do is fantastic, but I really want to applaud you for, hitting the nail on the head with this article about where we are in the state of baseball, the divorce from ESPN, how baseball's economic model with cable television is archaic and where this thing needs to go. I want everybody to read it because it gives you a great idea of where baseball is now, where baseball needs to go. I know you did a lot of digging for this. Just talk about putting this article together because there's a lot of heavy stuff in here.
So, look, we all know that baseball's television model is collapsing. That has been clear for years. We now have 5 teams that don't even have a local TV deal anymore, and they have their games produced by MLB. You have all of these teams that were involved with Diamond Sports Group, which doesn't exist anymore and came out of bankruptcy, and who knows how that goes. But I think it's very clear that things are not working. And the situation with ESPN didn't prove it. It only is another data point, and what I think anyone paying attention already knew, which is this is not working. So baseball is going to have to rethink how it distributes its products to fans, really from the ground up. And it is so critical because what is happening in television is a huge factor in why we are seeing the economic disparity that has become, in my mind, the single biggest story in baseball, right? Everywhere I go all spring long, no matter what camp, no matter what team, all anybody wants to talk about is the Dodgers. The Dodgers, the Dodgers, the Dodgers. $400 million payroll. Well, yeah, because they're making so much money off their local TV deal. Nobody else could even come close. And that disparity is only going to grow as time goes on. So the only way this gets resolved is by rethinking how these TV dollars get shared, how the product gets sent out to fans. And for Rob Manfred, this is the biggest thing possibly he'll ever do as commissioner. And it's happening right at the end of his tenure. And if you read the story, that's sort of how we frame it, that Rob Manfred, in the final few years of his time as commissioner, is facing the issue that I think will really define his legacy as commissioner, which is how does he handle the TV issue? Because it just impacts everything. Yes, the next CBA is obviously critical, but this TV issue is sort of goes hand in hand in it and sort of reshaping the game.
There is everything that you just said, not only his legacy, but really the future of this game. The one word in the article, when you say there's such an imbalance inside the game, it stuck with me. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching the Oscars, and all these films that are being nominated aren't on traditional movie houses. This is from Netflix, and you're seeing where the future is. And the NBA just signed their package of $77 billion with streaming. It's like everything is changing, and baseball still is so archaic. So how do you see this thing going forward? Because even though with the ESPN deal going away, ESPN will not be a big player 10, 20 years from now. This is all going streaming. Don't screw this up.
Well, look, ESPN, of course, is getting into streaming too. So who knows what ESPN's future is? We know that their streaming platform is probably going to be called Flagship. Everyone's calling it Flagship. Is starting later this year. But yes, the future is streaming. There's no question about that. Linear broadcasting is dying. I don't think that's a hot take. It's just true.
Yeah.
Linear broadcasting is dying. The streaming is the future. What makes baseball, though, sort of such a different than everybody else is that baseball relies on local media rights in a way that no other sport does, right? The NFL has no local media. Every game is national. They're all on broadcast, national. The NBA, yeah, they do have local media, but most of their revenue is coming from those big national media deals. But that's not baseball. Baseball is not sort of that. The national broadcasts are not the driving sort of force in baseball revenues. It's local. Teams in baseball derive about 25% of their revenue from local media. And that's more than any other sport by quite a far margin. So that's what baseball needs to figure out, how to get these local rights onto streaming without blackouts in a way that people can actually watch them. And what Rob Manfred believes is that the best way to do that is for the league office to take control of the local rights and sell them as one package to a streamer, whether that's Amazon, whether that's Netflix, whether that's ESPN's Flagship.
Yeah.
They believe that they would make more money doing that than all 30 teams could do, independently, if you combined all of that money. And the other thing this does is it allows baseball to share the local TV among everybody. Whereas right now, you as your own team go out, you sell your own local TV deal, and that's your money. Okay, great. The Dodgers have a TV deal that lasts for like 9 million years, that pays them like $300 million a year, where everyone else is losing their TV deal. So what does that mean? The Dodgers can afford a $400 million payroll, and every other team is like, can't even dream about keeping up. And that's sort of why we are where we are.
We know the one strength that baseball has, it's live content. And we know that these tech companies, these streaming companies, they're desperate for live content. Do you see, if all 30 owners and the commissioner, and they could get it together, that they could put a package together that would be successful, similar to something like the NBA?
I think it would be great. I think it really, yes, I think it could absolutely be successful. No, there's a big if. The big if is you have to get the big market teams to go along with it, right? You're asking big market teams to, at least in the short term, go against their interests in some ways. Why would the Yankees or Dodgers want to share their local TV revenues with everybody else? That's what Rob Manfred needs to convince them of, why that benefits them in the long term. That's why Rob Manfred gets paid the big bucks, I guess, to generate that kind of consensus. But yeah, imagine a scenario where Amazon buys this package. And I only bring up Amazon not because, I'm not reporting that Amazon is interested, but it just makes sense. So just for the sake of argument, imagine Amazon buys this package. You already have Amazon Prime. Most people do have access to Prime Video. All you need to do now to get your baseball team is pay whatever extra fee to Amazon a year to get your team every game, or 100 and whatever games a year, blackout free, wherever you are, in market, out of market. You could just see how that is a lot more fan friendly than this current hodgepodge of out of market and in market, and some teams have in market streaming and some teams don't, and you got to pay this and you got to pay that, or maybe you have cable. It's a mess. It's just a total mess. It's so hard for fans to just watch their team if they're a cord cutter. There are so many cord cutters. There's going to be more and more. Something like this sort of has to be the future. In my story, we quote Rob Manfred from our interview with him, where he said something like, and I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but it was something like, this is the only path forward. There is no other option. It's the only rational response to the current media landscape. And I find that hard to argue. You can't really argue it. It does need to change. And I think this is the way to do it, but it's going to be hard. It is not going to be easy to convince the big market clubs to go along with something like this, because they're not feeling it yet. They're not feeling the pain. My argument to them would be, you will. Maybe not yet, but this tidal wave that's already consumed, nearly half the league will come to you eventually, even the Dodgers.
So the big question for me after that would be, we know that there's going to be a fight between, when the CBA's up, between the players and the owners. The question is, what's the bigger fight? Owners versus owners, or owners versus the players?
It really depends. That's the worst kind of answer, but it's true. The first question is going to be among the owners. How hard are they going to push for a salary cap, right? If they have consensus that they are going to go hard for salary cap, then the fight with the players is going to be unlike anything that many of us have seen in our lifetimes. I am just old enough to have sort of some firm memory of the '94 strike. We know how bad that was. It'll be like that if the owners really coalesce around the idea of a salary cap. But I'm not sure they'll be able to, right? Not every owner wants a salary cap or believes that's the best option. So it's really both. They're going to be fighting with each other. They're going to be fighting over TV. They're going to be fighting over, do we go for a salary cap or not? I don't know if the owners have the stomach to lose a full season in their quest for a salary cap. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I think that they know, or at least they should know, that the only way they're getting a salary cap in all likelihood is that nuclear option. An off-season lockout like the one we saw in 2022 does not get the owners salary cap. It just will not. But a full season lockout, would that get them a salary cap? I don't know. Maybe. Potentially. I just don't know if they're really willing to find out. And I'm not sure it's good for the game for them to find out. Missing a whole season in this environment, I'd argue, would be devastating, right? Baseball's already desperately competing for people's attention with all the other sports, with everything else on Netflix and Hulu and whatever else.
Yep.
Taking it away for a year, I don't know, man. That's a big ask. And, I would argue that there are ways to address this imbalance issue without a salary cap. The salary cap is obviously sort of this blunt instrument that would obviously address disparity in that way. It's not necessarily the only way. It's just the way that the owners want for, obvious reasons, I think.
All right, let's end on this. You've been going around to camps in the Grapefruit League. Obviously, we're out in the Cactus League. Anything that really stands out? I know you've done Yankees, you've done Red Sox. Anything really stand out in the Grapefruit League for you so far?
What is standing out in the Grapefruit League? Good question. It really ties back to something I was saying before. And this was the case when I was in Arizona as well. Just how the Dodgers seem to be looming over everything. You can't have a conversation with almost anybody without that conversation sort of drifting to the Dodgers in some capacity. What they've done is just so remarkable, right? Like, look, I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series. They have a good chance, a very good chance, a better chance probably going into a season than any team in a really long time. But their offseason this year was so shockingly aggressive, and they've spent so much money that it's just got everybody talking. And I understand why. I mean, it's a fascinating story. And I really do agree with what Rob Manfred said. Nobody should be blaming the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing what every single baseball fan should want their team to do, which is spend money on great players. The Dodgers are able to do this because they make more money than any team in baseball, really by a good amount. The Dodgers are making so much money, and good for them. They've built an incredible business in these years since Mark Walter and Guggenheim bought the team. The issue is not every team could even dream about making the revenues that they make. And I do think increasingly people are coming to realize, yes, there's always the question of should owners spend more? And we could argue this forever, and everyone has their opinion, and I think it's a perfectly rational argument to say team X or Y should be spending more on payroll. But I think everyone has come to realize that nobody can compete with the Dodgers, no matter how much team X or Y spends, no matter how much more you think they should spend. No one can afford that $400 million payroll that the Dodgers have, and maybe that's the issue.
Yes, and it's all based on their deal with Time Warner. But my question with that would be, well, just one more here, is if I'm baseball, how am I happy? Yes, we're saying the Dodgers are spending that money, but the reality is they're deferring over $1 billion. They're acquiring an extreme amount of debt, which some of these guys in this Guggenheim group, when all that money has to be paid, some of them won't even be alive by that point. So at what point is how much can you defer before baseball starts going, man, that's a lot of debt, and that's not good for your business, and it's not good for your game, and it's not good for the game.
Well, based on the current CBA, they can basically defer as much as they want. And look, I understand there's a lot of consternation over the Dodgers' deferred payments. I think in some ways people are looking at it the wrong way. Yeah, they have debt. Let me tell you something about the Dodgers' deferred payments. They are going to make so much money off of this. Remember how the deferrals work. They are required every year to put aside the money they owe and put it away. They have to put it aside, and they have to invest it. Now, there are certain rules on how they invest it. They have to invest it safely, obviously. But let me tell you something. The Guggenheim guys are smart. This is their business. They are a financial services firm. They are going to invest whatever they owe to Shohei Ohtani. They are going to make so much money and interest off the investment. They're going to pay Shohei Ohtani eventually the $40 million a year, whatever they still owe him, and $68 million a year they owe him, and they're going to collect all those profits that they've made. They are going to make money off this deal, off of these deferred payments. Now, look, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but that's what's going to happen. Like they are not going to be in debt. This is going to benefit them in the long run. I know for a fact that they see it that way. That Shohei Ohtani contract is the greatest contract for a team you could maybe in the history of baseball. I mean, it is incredible how cheaply they got the best player in the game for, especially when you consider how much money they're just making off endorsements and sponsorships that have come as a result of signing him. It is unbelievable what kind of deal they got on Shohei Ohtani. And no doubt that's a big factor in why they're able to spend so much.
All right. This is above my pay grade when we get into this stuff. So I would just ask this. Could the Cincinnati Reds, without the cable deal, without the 9 million plus people in LA County who are potential season ticket holders, over 3 million every year in attendance, the Time Warner, could Cincinnati replicate that, or is that just not possible? This is unique to the LA market.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Reds could definitely defer money. They could do a contract that would, have most of it deferred. But no, they probably couldn't do it at those numbers, right? The Reds, and I don't want to single out the Reds, the Reds, most teams couldn't do a contract like this where they're deferring $68 million a year, right? They don't have that kind of liquidity. They don't have that kind of cash flow to just take that kind of money and put it aside. But could the Reds sign a guy, I don't know, for $20 million a year and say we're going to defer 17, 18 million of it? Yeah, they could. They definitely could. There's always the question of, do players want to do it? Look what's happening with the Blue Jays, right? The Blue Jays are deferring a good chunk of Anthony Santander's contract, and they're not, the Dodgers. The Washington Nationals did a lot of deferrals as well when they were big spenders with Max Scherzer, and they're going to be paying Max Scherzer for 1 million years. So, yeah, other teams get defer money, but obviously not. They don't have the sort of cash on hand to do what the Dodgers are doing, which is putting aside $68 million a year of deferred money for Ohtani, not to mention all the other deferrals they have. I guess for me, I understand the anger about the deferrals. I just think people have to remember they're able to do this because they're making so much money. Dodgers could probably afford to spend even more on payroll than they are. And remember, when you factor in the Dodgers luxury tax payments for going over the top luxury tax, they're going to be paying well over $500 million on payroll plus luxury. And that doesn't even factor in the revenue sharing bill they're going to have at the end of the season. That should just tell you, oh my God, they are making money hand over fist. And I'm not saying other teams aren't making money. Teams are making money, but not like them.
Unbelievable. Hey, great stuff. The article was fantastic. Keep up the great work, and we look forward to talking to you this season.
Sounds good. Lots of interesting stuff going on with the A's, man.
Yeah, hey.
The A's are interesting.
Well, yeah, are we going to possibly see you out in Sacramento this year?
I'm hoping to come to opening day. Not certain, but honestly, I don't mean to. This is I say this as a non-binding statement, but I absolutely believe the A's could be in the playoffs this year. 100% believe they could be in the playoffs this year. I think the division is not very strong. They played great at the end of the season. If you told me right now the A's were going to be in the postseason, I would not say you're crazy. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you're here for opening day, we got to have you on the show. Let's make sure we stay in contact.
Sounds good.
Keep up the great work.
You got it. Thanks a lot.
Jared Diamond, Wall Street Journal. How good was that? This is what's interesting in our game right now. This is what everybody's talking about. I know sometimes you just want to hear about what's happening between the lines, but as he said, you go to Florida. As you East Coast people would say, Florida.
That is correct.
I
say Florida, but other people do say it like that.
But you go all the way to Florida, to the Grapefruit League. What are they talking about? Dodgers, payments, money, cable deal. They're the best case scenario, but they're the only ones that have that now. So it's like, you talk about the imbalance. I mean, just look 2 hours south of them. San Diego has no contract, right? Or go east of them. Arizona has no So teams in their division, their two main competitors, I guess we'll throw in the Giants, but their two main competitors, San Diego and Arizona, both of them don't have cable deals. Think about that. You're the Dodgers, and in your division, the two teams that are supposed to rival you, you've got the ultimate cable deal. That Time Warner it's an idiotic deal, but they got it. Remember, at one point, people couldn't even watch Dodger games because Time Warner wanted in the LA market so bad. They overpaid, but it's now worked out. But in the beginning, the deal was a disaster because most people didn't have Time Warner, so they couldn't watch Dodger games. It's now working out, but your chief rivals, you have the best cable deal. Your chief rivals have zero cable deal. Think about that.
Yeah, it's the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and I love that you brought up the team you brought up was the Reds, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you could do that, but
the reality is you can't.
No,
other teams can't replicate what they're doing." Quickly, the big announcement today about our HD2 station in Vegas.
If you're in Las Vegas, you can listen to all A's games, A's cast content, pre and post game on 95.5 KWNR FM, the Bull HD2. It is our new official network affiliate in Las Vegas. So that was the big news today. You can hear Ken, you can hear Johnny, Chris Caray do the games. You can hear Towny, Steve Sack, Shooty, Jessica Kleinscher do pre and post game. You can hear us on A's Cast Live and all, everything leading into the game on 95.5 KWNR FM, the Bull HD2 in Las Vegas. On top of Talk 650 KSTE in Sacramento and A's Cast.
And we will be in Vegas this weekend and there's going to be a lot of announcements. So follow us throughout the weekend because there's going to be a lot going on. Coming up next, it's the Rangers, it's the A's right here on A's Cast. We're off tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're back Thursday at 3:00 day game or night game.
Enjoy the baseball right here on A's Cast.
The time is now. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported to Arizona. Grab your sunglasses, A's gear, and get ready for some fun in the sun as the Athletics get ready for the 2025 season. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, starting on February 23rd, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Grab your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Angels, and more at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium. Don't wait. Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
This has been a presentation of the